in itself that you were able to, predict this, that's just, amazing. Very, very, very interesting that you've been able to pick up on that beforehand. What I would like to ask you, though, is what does this symbolize if we think about it again? Because this is, after all, about bringing down the towers. Is this about showing the world in a symbolic sense that this is about bringing down the power of what? The Illuminati? What's going on here?
Well, here's the curious part. And had I known these two bits of information, I would have predicted the targets as well. Because my focus was on the numbers of 9/11 and not on the event. I knew they needed a major terrorist attack. But now I later found out that the World Trade Center had its Masonic cornerstone laying ceremony on 9/11, 1966, when it was constructed. The Pentagon, which was also struck on 9/11, had its Masonic cornerstone laying ceremony on 9/11, 1941.
That's right. Huh.
So what are the odds that they would do these ritual ceremonies on these specific dates and then also bring down the same buildings on those specific dates?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what led me to the 1013 hypothesis. Now, I don't have as much data as I did like, with 911, I knew they needed to pass this Homeland Security Act. And, of course, I was watching it through the Clinton era, and when when they railroaded W into office, as I had predicted as well. Because all of this is psychological warfare, and it's really for our benefit and not theirs. That they railroaded W into office, I knew that would be the year. So then, at that point, I told everyone I knew that there was going to be a major terrorist attack on 911. Unfortunately, I didn't have a TV show or a radio show, so I don't have anything to document this prediction.
Yeah.
I do have a list of people. And curious enough now, the dollar bills that came out from 1996 again, we're back to that year again, show the Twin Towers falling in succession. As you go from the 5 to the 100, you can follow, if they fold them all in the same manner, you can follow the World Trade Center falling. Like the 5 has the 2 towers, the 10 has the first strike, the 20 has the 2 strikes, and then also the Pentagon strike on the flip side. And then the 50 has that space empty as if the towers were gone, and then the 100 has just a wisp of smoke. And you can see videotape of this on my website on freemantv.com. Now, the curious thing was that there were a whole stack of people out my door on 9/11 going, "How did you know?" And they all had their bills, at least 3 of them had their bills folded up. The 20 was the one everyone knew about. Already, on the day, on 9/11, they knew already of the symbolism incorporated into the magical pantacle, which is our dollar bill, which is nothing more than a magical spell.
Wow.
And again, only from 1996 on, but then again, from 1996 on, this was incorporated into the symbolism on the bills in 1996. And me, myself, I was very curious as to how these people knew about the folded 20, because I knew they knew nothing about this type of magic and the evil overlords we have. And so I questioned them on that, and they had found out on the internet that you could fold your 20 in such a way that it showed the Twin Towers being struck. Now, when I took it from the 5 to the 100 and showed that it had the entire scenario on there, now the $1 has never changed. That's their main spell. It has all their magical seals, and the symbols on the back of a 1 are identical to seals of Solomon again. So that never has changed, but the others, the 5 through the 100, all did in 1996, and then now we've got the symbolism. I believe that they were projecting this into the consciousness of humanity, that they wanted them to know, because I don't believe that somebody just suddenly figured this out on that day.
Oh, no.
It's just not rational to think that. Somebody just happened to go, well, what happens if we fold the 20 this way, right?
Yeah, sure, exactly.
And so I do believe that all of this is a matter of injecting mind pattern programming into the collective consciousness, and we as divine beings that we are actually do manifest reality. And so even in subtle ways such as this, they can program it into our meta-programming, and then we actually allow it to occur because we are divine and are able to manifest reality, which is really what the whole story I've been telling you about is that we manifest reality.
And if we think of it this way also, perhaps that that these numbers and that these symbols are something that is recurring. What I'm trying to get at here is that this is a kind of a holographic expression of how the nature of reality actually work. I mean, to some extent, I would go to the extent to kind of allow her just ponder upon the idea that everything, every single little, incremental, step that you can discover on the way here as you research this stuff, I would suggest that not all of it is, pre-planned in every little minute detail. That might be the case, but for now, I see it like it's an expression of our part in this reality, meaning that whatever we lay our hands upon, or whatever we create, or whatever we choose to change, for instance, like the dollar bills that you just mentioned, that encoded in there, embedded in there, actually are messages. This is kind of like the global or collective unconscious is expressing itself in some way through these kinds of symbols and messages and even numbers. I mean, Flight 11 struck the first plane I think that struck was Flight 11. Again, 11 connected to the dot or the negative or the destructive number in the Kabbalah. There are all kinds of these stuff throughout the way, and what I'm trying to just figure out, I guess, here is how much of it actually is planned to the minute detail, and how much of it is a kind of a expression of our reality, a kind of a holographic expression.
I've definitely thought a lot about that and all the connections between Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Those, they couldn't have been planned. There's just no way.
Exactly.
You can go, we won't get into all of those, but there's just too many weird synchronistic events within the JFK and the Abraham Lincoln shootings that, yes, would make me agree with your holographic projection ideas. Because there's no way that those things could have been outlined in such a way.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I also find these guys doing ceremonial magic that do equate to particular times, especially if you start looking into NASA launches and whatnot, and how they are focused on this hyperdimensional numeral system, such as the 19.5 degrees. You'll find that Sirius is at 19.5 degrees when they launched the Columbia, or something to that effect, or the strike of Y2K, it's the same thing.
Exactly. Well, you're right. I mean, and I believe that they target these kind of key dates. They're very, very planning when it comes to the timing, the wanted timing that I think favors their agenda, and I think that they are in tuned to the kind of energetic, awareness to the higher level to all of this. So I think that you're right there, that they are targeting key dates, key times, and so forth. So that this favors their agenda. I think you're right there. Yeah.
So I started looking for things that would fit this scenario, and what else could I find now that I had noticed that the Pentagon and the Twin Towers had 911 Masonic ceremonies. I went looking to see what else would correlate with that, and I found the White House being dated to 1013, and this being the ritual date that the Pope put out the bull to eradicate the Templars. Now, what it is that the Templars knew that made all the princes and kings give up all their wealth to this order, I don't know, but it seems to revolve around this Ark of the Covenant and secret hidden mysteries from our ancient past. Maybe extraterrestrial or just high technology from ancient civilizations. So when I found that the White House itself had been dated on 1013, now consider the entire 911 scenario as an inside job by the government was given out in the Lone Gunman pilot episode, which is the spin-off from the X-Files. and this came out before 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
About planes, flying into the World Trade Center. Now, what is Chris Carter's production company?
1013.
1013.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And this is their ritual Friday the 13th, and they do want us to remember these certain things, just as Captain Morgan is kept in our memory with the spiced rum, and he was one that seems to have been ritually sacrificed by the Masons for giving away their secrets. I do believe that they want to keep this, and it is strange how the Vatican all of a sudden at the 700th anniversary would come out and say, oh, the Templars are all right.
Well, exactly. I mean, exactly. There's a new book out called Processus Contra Templarios, and that is based on this document that they found called the Chinion Parchment that reveals the Templars, that they had this initiation ceremony that you talked about. Not maybe some of those things was they mentioned in this article from the Telegraph that they were spitting on the cross and denying Jesus, and it says kissing the lower back here, navel and mouth of the man proposing them and so forth. But anyway, as you say, it's interesting that this document now then is trying to say that they weren't so bad. Do you think that they will? I would suggest that there have been in bed with each other all this time, the Vatican and the Templars. But do you think even on an official level now they will kiss and make up, as it were?
It seems that way. It definitely, it is. I do believe that they're the flip side of the same coin. That Freemasonry and the Catholics are simply the same coin. They're the Hegelian dialectic. Once again, the twin columns, the dueling powers. So they have their enemy, they have themselves, and then they manipulate what's in the center with these two opposing forces.
That's right.
So now that we're moving into this global world and they're getting ready to take over frontally, I do think that there'll be a unification between these groups to create a one-world religion and all of these things that they state.
Yeah, even could we be so bold, I guess, to tie in even the success of the Da Vinci Code here, that again bringing in the Templar scenario together with the Vatican or the hidden agenda of the Roman Catholic Church, but that this in a way kind of eases out everything and in a way actually merge the faiths and meaning that this is in a way reintroducing the sacred feminine or the worship of Mary Magdalene. What do you think is the main agenda that they're beyond a new world order, of course, but I mean in a religious or mystical context? Do you think there is a religious agenda behind this also?
Well, within that same story is the hidden story, which is the line of the Merovingian kings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what we really get in the Da Vinci Code, and even more so in Holy Blood, Holy Grail, is that this bloodline that they're saying is the true descendants of Jesus. Well, they're also saying that Jesus was actually the true king of Israel. So this would make the Merovingian bloodline the true descendants of the kings of Israel and set up this new monarchy through their bloodline. So
yeah, I believe you're right there, exactly. And this is in the end I was talking about with Eric Phelps a few weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was. We talked a little bit about that under the canon law that the Pope actually owns the world, actually, as it were, and if it was discovered in some way that Jesus had descendants, that would mean that these family or the bloodlines connected here would actually potentially then be entitled of the ownership of the planet Earth.
Yes.
So I mean, exactly. Yeah, this is about.
That's what I think the true hidden story is. They're getting it into the consciousness so that it's more readily acceptable.